This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Fun Thursday program lined up today. Plenty on the big Thursday night game tonight. Buccaneers got to have it. You want to talk about a got to have a game. It's huge tonight for this Tampa Bay squad, reeling, as is their counterparts tonight in Atlanta. We'll hit that several times. Paul Charchian on the program coming up in 30 minutes. Fantasy Football Hall of Famer. The playoffs begin tonight. So a very important segment with him today. Tony Rizzo on the show, ESPN Cleveland. How do we approach the Browns and Shedeur Sanders the rest of the year? Steve Wisp, Best Bets in Soccer. Ira Kaufman on the program covering the Buccaneers leading into the game, and we'll hit the NBA and the NHL cards tonight as well. How you feeling, man? You were hot on Tampa Bay earlier in this season, and I was right there with you because they got off to this rip-roaring start, and you were thinking, okay, they're going to be factors in the NFC. The one seed's in play here. I was smiling because I had Emeka Egbuka 50-1 Rookie of the Year. That's long gone. You thought Mayfield MVP, Bulls Coach of the Year. You were here for all of it. And now they've lost 5 of 7.
Yep.
And they just don't look good either.
Yep. No doubt about it, and especially Mayfield. So during this drought where they've lost 4 of 5, the win was against lowly Arizona at home, and they had to hang on.
Yep.
So this was, you think, well, they're going to bounce back. They're going to get their act together, and it hasn't happened. But getting Evans and McMillan back, we'll see how much that helps. But you're taking on an opponent that's lost 7 of 8. But I just can't come in and say, gotta have. Even if they lose, they still, I hate the term, but control their destiny because they haven't played Carolina yet.
No, that's true.
So you sweep Carolina, you're going to win the division. Mm-hmm. But after further inspection, it's really hard to back them here because you think they're going to snap out of it and beat Arizona and be impressive. Didn't happen. They're going to beat the Saints at home. Didn't happen. You know, the horrible performances on the road, as you mentioned, boat raced in L.A., and then how it didn't go well in the second half against the Bills, and especially defensively. So it's great that they get these guys back. But you know what happened last? I mean, lucky to win the Week 1 game, and we know Kirk put up big numbers on them last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a tough matchup for him as well. But I like to attack it with a lot of props, but I have to pass as far as who's going to win the game.
Now, how about this? With Bowles as their head coach, the Buccaneers are 1-8 ATS when hosting divisional opponents. They're also 1-10 ATS when playing at home after playing a home game the previous week.
Yeah.
And the Falcons are 5-0 ATS when playing away from home after a game in which they allowed 30 or more points under Raheem Morris. The Buccaneers are also the second worst team versus running backs in the air this season. I thought it was going to be a Bijan game last week against Seattle in the air because Seattle is also weak against running backs, but that did not come to fruition. They've allowed that's DVOA, by the way, second worst. They've allowed the most yards overall to running backs in the air at 701. Do I need to get back on the train again tonight, though?
Got to take Robinson over. If you lose, so be it. That's how it is.
So the Robinson and Pitts, or just Robinson?
I'm going to go against the guru on Pitts. I know he's banged up. Start with Robinson. He had 100 yards receiving in the first game. Yeah. Everything you ran down with how bad Tampa's been, this guy should have 40 yards receiving tonight.
Oh, he killed him in the first game.
Yes, right.
To begin that game, that 50-yarder,
right.
Boom, like that was way too easy.
So has Pitts. But Pitts is a little banged up. And I know Guru was making the case with no London. He's going to be a marked man. But I still have to ride with Pitts over, who had 60 yards in the first meeting, crushed him last year, ate him alive, and has 18 targets in the last 2 weeks.
By the way, do you realize Kyle Pitts is 25 years old? Like, that's it? So maybe he's finally turning into this threat that we thought that he was going to be as a rookie when he shined at Florida. And he's been making some plays lately that it's like, okay, that's the Kyle Pitts that we all loved like 4 or 5 years ago and expected big things from.
It's everything you want. The receptions are there and the targets are there. 6 for 90 last week.
Yeah.
Second straight game leading the team in receiving yards. 8 targets in the first meeting. So I would have to say Pitts can at least get 60 yards as well, but definitely Bijan over receiving.
Yeah, over receiving. I'd be careful with the running tonight because season to date, Tampa Bay, they still have elite DVOA numbers against opposing teams' ground games. And Bijan in 3 years in the NFL has not topped 63 yards on the ground one time against Tampa Bay. And despite killing them for 100+ in the air in week 1, he only had 24 on the ground. So I'm also concerned big time about Baker Mayfield. He has not topped 200 yards passing in 4 straight games. The problem is I'm convinced that he's hurt. So if you look at the numbers down the field, accuracy on 10+ air yards throws, in 2023, that number was 43%. Last year, 49%. This year, that's all the way down at 35%. NFL average is 44%. And then 10+ air yard accuracy per Pro Football Focus, Sam Darnold's number 1, 59%. Joe Burrow's number 2, then Drake May. At the bottom of the list, Baker Mayfield's at 35%, tied with Carson Wentz, and only ahead of Bryce Young for qualified quarterbacks. Bryce Young's at 33%. So that tells me that the guy is still banged up from, I believe it was around the Week 6 game against San Francisco. His longest completion prop tonight is 34.5, Paulie. He has not gone over that number since that game against the 49ers all the way back in October. So I think it's going to be underneath stuff from them as well. Mm-hmm. Dump-offs, you know somebody who likes Rachaad White tonight. I like Bucky Irving. Dump-offs to him. Plus, I was all in on Bucky Irving this year, props and fantasy-wise, until he got hurt right away. His longest reception since week 2, it's only been 5 games because of the injury, but 22, 25, 72, 20, and 24. His longest reception prop tonight's 11.5. I had to play that. But your guy is telling you Rachaad White over.
Likes that over, yes. Yes. What do you want to do with Mike Evans?
That's look what the $64 million question.
Yeah, look what he's priced at. 40 yards?
It's a total unknown. I mean, if Mike Evans, when's the last time I think Mike Evans was ever priced at this number?
Oh,
probably never.
Time. Yeah, right.
Because he was automatic for 1,000 yards since his rookie year anyway.
They're not expecting much. I mean, that is very low. So they think the rust factor maybe doesn't play that much. But I just think, and Guru thinks that Book is going to benefit from this as well. But some of this stuff, 25 yards each half, plus 375. 5 yards each quarter, plus 750. A reception each quarter, 5-1. 20 yards each quarter, 75-1.
Oh boy, that's Mike Evans we're talking about.
Yeah, but only 40 yards he's being priced at with his total as well. And then the other thing is some of this stuff where I know it seems easy, but like Robinson, 5 yards rushing each quarter, $1.20, and 15 yards each quarter, 6-1. I mean, he's got to get a ton of carries here. 50 yards each half is 6-1. Excuse me. 25 yards each half, $1.15. 5 yards each quarter, $1.20. Some funny pricing on this but I mean, you would think he's going to get plenty of carries and opportunities because you got an old quarterback, and that's got to be the game plan anyway.
Well, are you seeing anything for Kyle Pitts every quarter or both halves?
Yeah, but the prices are low.
Are they? Nothing big?
Yeah.
Okay. Because his longest reception prop is at 20.5. He's gone over that in 6 of 7 games. The Bucs are middle of the pack against tight ends when it comes to catches and yards. However, they've allowed 6 touchdowns on the year to tight ends as well. It's tied for the 5th most in the entire league. Atlanta, by the way, is a top 2 team in defending tight ends. Pardon me. Cade Otton tonight is going to be the guy going up against this Atlanta defense. And keep in mind, are you involved with kicking props? Again, maybe a dicey field.
No.
They played in that monsoon on Sunday.
That's a good observation, but also both kickoff coverages are horrendous.
Yeah.
That's something to monitor as well. You could be big plays in the special teams. But
Atlanta ranks 30th in DVOA in special teams. Tampa Bay is 27th.
Yeah. Pitts is being priced like Evans. A catch each quarter, plus 170. 25 yards each half, plus 170. 5 yards each quarter, plus 270. The targets have been there, but also he's been banged up, so I don't think... I'd rather do Evans stuff there with the bigger payout in the Robinson stuff, which I'm not asking much.
Right.
And that is, and it's also been, each a field goal each quarter is 4-1. I did play that because we've had what a run we've been on in primetime games with all these field goals.
Yeah, true. I guess that that's going to be the strength of the Buccaneers special teams anyway, is that you can count on that kicker to actually make some field goals. The Opta AI stats at VSiN.com, Baker Mayfield projected to go way under his prop of 219.5 passing yards tonight. They have him going for like 195. So that stays way under per the numbers. Again, you can get these at VSiN.com/NFL props. Become a subscriber. It's great, by the way. The website has looked better than ever this entire football season, but there's a tab right there where you can put in any player that you're looking for, just the last name, and then it pops up automatically. They also, boy, oh boy, I'm sorry, I don't know what the hell's going on here. Got something stuck in my throat. But Bucky Irving to go way under his rushing yards prop tonight, and also way under his receiving yards prop. They only have him receiving like 10 yards in this game.
Yeah. Touchdown, field goal, each half, 14-1. Someone scores 40 points plus 750. Great job, Caesars and Will Hill. Over 200 different ways to bet the games with all the crazy props, player specials, scoring specials that they have.
Yep. It is the season to come together over your holiday favorites at Starbucks. Warm up with a creamy caramel brulee latte. Get festive with an iced gingerbread chai, or share a velvety peppermint mocha. Together is the best place to be, and that is at Starbucks. So, yeah, the betting market is saying Buccaneers. They bet them up from 4.5. Now they're sitting at 5.5. But I think maybe the best bet side or total was earlier in the week when we talked about this on Monday, when it was 44.5. That's around a key number. You know, all those numbers like 43, 44, 45 can be key. And they've been bet down to 43.5 here.
Yeah. No, you're right about it. That's a good point about the field. And we talked about it Monday with Warren Sharp.
Right.
You're talking about the monsoon Sunday and how beat up that field was, and if it can hold up with the short turnaround and what it looks like. They can fix that, and what kind of tough sledding it could be tonight.
So my official bet as of right now is Bucky Irving over 11.5 with the longest reception. I like that angle.
I'll go Robinson over receiving and Pitts over receiving.
Win some, lose some coming up next. In NBA Cup numbers for the semifinal games. Maybe the Thunder won't win the Cup. We'll kick around possibilities for OKC to lose, if there are any. Coming up next on Follow the Money, it's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Is here, and VSiN's betting guide is your ticket to cashing in. For just $14.99, you'll get expert previews of every first-round matchup, playoff brackets from VSiN hosts and insiders, and the sharp insight you can't get anywhere else. Or skip the line and get it free with a VSiN Pro subscription. Go to VSiN.com/CFP to purchase the guide and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, a network of sports betting analysts, writers, hosts, and handicappers, all here to help you become a more confident bettor. We broadcast live every day from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world, and from studios across the country, giving you insight from every angle of the action. Take VSiN with you wherever you go with the VSiN Watch app, or catch us on streaming platforms and regional sports networks. You can also listen live on SiriusXM Channel 158 and on radio stations nationwide. Check out VSiN.com as well for betting tools, exclusive betting splits, AI-powered player prop projections from Opta, pro picks for every game, plus in-depth betting guides and articles built to give you an edge. From sharp betting analysis and daily best bets to insider interviews and expert breakdowns, VSiN is your trusted source for everything happening in the world of sports betting. See everything we have to offer at VSiN.com and become part of the Sports Betting Network.
On the next edition of Prop Points, Joe, reacting to all the action from Thursday Night Football between the Falcons and the Bucks, Ben Stevens will join the show to break down some of his favorite college football future bets. Plus, he'll pop out some props he likes for Army versus Navy. Jake Trivia of FantasyPoints.com will join the program. And finally, we'll close out the show with some of my favorite player props and touchdown props. I'm John Hansen. Tune in to Friday's edition of Prop Points at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
All right, Spurs pummeled the Lakers last night, plus 230 on the money line. LA 20th in defense, but bottom 5 in guarding the 3. San Antonio ripped them from 3 last night. And the total, 234 up to 244 at DraftKings, 132-119.
What'd you make of the game?
It's like Luka said afterwards. Everything just easy down. Everything was downhill. Penetration, kick, either layup or 3. Horrible job defensively.
I think last night was the blueprint. And not a lot of teams are going to be as effective as the Spurs, obviously, because they got a ton of awesome guards that can go 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you just do that and go afterburners against the Lakers, you can blow right by them every single time. That was a hell of a performance last night.
Yep. And they take on OKC out here Saturday night. Too bad for the league. No Lakers out here in Las Vegas. New Mexico VCU over. 153 up to 158, 81-78. Liberty NC State under. 155 down to 149, 85-45. Delaware G-Dub under. 160 to 152. Winner. Fresno Cal State Northridge over. 154 up to 160, 89-87. Good job, Humans. Nebraska plus 2.5. Went off the favorite, beat Wisconsin by 30.
Probably the easiest college bet you can have entire year.
That's right. Subscribe, be part of the team. VSiN.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos at Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in. We'll put you on. Boulder Station, a local spot here in Las Vegas, a casino, a 10 spot on Keno. $121,000.
Holy.
Look at that thing. You know, Al Lasso, our buddy, always plays Keno and has some jackpots from time to time. But this, I've seen a 5 spot, 6, a 10 spot on Keno for $121,000.
Yeah, I know at least a handful of people who prefer to play Keno over any other game.
Yeah. You can also just hit the auto button. You don't have to touch anything. Just sit there. It does it on its own, right? Very good. How about you're going to get a kick out of this one? Good run with the dog videos. Man, that time of year. Go look at guy down the hill. Bulldog.
Oh, I sent this in.
This was you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Face first going down. Look at him. And coming down the slide with the great camera angle. And over and over and over again with the snow. Doesn't even need a sled. Got the left leg dangling and using it to get down the hill.
Yeah. He is the sled.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
A 180 onto the... Look at this guy.
Wow. Ass over tea kettle. Coming in face first. Coming in hot with the snow. That's incredible. Good job, buddy. That's great.
Jeez.
It goes on and on. I know.
Oh, yeah.
Can't get enough of the snow. Lose some. Thunder, Suns under 224 down to 221.5. 138 to 89. More on these guys coming up. Incredible. Charleston, South Florida over 156 up to 160.5. No good as well. And thanks to the viewers who sent this in. I'll give the guy credit in a second. We're living in a society. Here's the guy taking up 3 spots parking. I don't know if it's a pizza. I can't see. A pizza joint, whatever. But the truck comes in on the side and takes up 3 spots. Is this what you were talking about yesterday?
Oh, no. This is a diagonal method here.
Yeah, right.
That I'm unfamiliar with. That's a new one to me.
Yeah. The guy yesterday taking up 4 spots, the truck. Yeah, rebuilding since 1957. It's the Twitter handle. Not bad. That's a good one. I can't believe. What are you thinking there?
What are you thinking, Paulie? If you go up, let's say that is a pizza place, and you ordered a pickup, and you walk up, you're like, what?
And you see that, I know. Taking up 3 spots, I know. Incredible. For the line move, Sharp Plays already there. They don't just follow the market, they help shape it. Powered by advanced AI. The AI plays up 50 units, proven insider sources, active across all sports. Look for the first touchdown tweets later today. Sunday, look for the Mr. Poison tweets. Free daily reports, real-time alerts, market-moving insights straight to your inbox or X feed. Jeff and the crew been at it since 2011. Documented results, public logs, transparent receipts. SharpPlays.com, trusted by pros, monitored by the book. Stay ahead of the line. Visit SharpPlays.com.
So I was thinking about this today on the drive in, like ways to attack Oklahoma City. And then I heard part of Hardwood Handicappers today, Zach Cohen, who does it every single day here on the network. One of our podcasts does a great job covering the league. He brought this up, and that is DraftKings is offering a special with the Thunder. And that is, will they have consecutive losses during the regular season. My idea was, what's the longest losing streak going to be?
Will they lose 2 in a row?
Basically, yes.
Yeah, they're on pace to win 78 games.
And they might.
Right.
They might win 80.
Yes. Yes. Come on, look at the point differential.
I know it. So, Paulie, this is how it's phrased on DraftKings. And when you click on the tab Oklahoma City Thunder, it comes up specials. And then it says not to lose consecutive games played in the 2025-2026 regular season is plus 475. Now they do have multiple. I would actually like to bet the other way if the price was right, because I think they're going to lose consecutive games at some point. It is a long season, and they have tough back-to-backs, tough games on multiple road trips coming up yet.
Good job, guys.
That's a very creative prop.
Because FanDuel was all over it yesterday. Will they break the Lakers record? But good job by DraftKings to put up where the next loss is coming, and that could see that special. The longest winning streak, 25 plus 370, 30 plus 7-1. They have the NBA record 14-1. FanDuel had 17 yesterday, and then they blasted the Suns. So now they're laying 10.5 Saturday night.
I've added some plus money to win the title today. You just got to do it because, the West is going to be the most difficult part of this whole thing. But you give me the team and the scenario where Oklahoma City loses a 7-game series. They just have a clunker for 7 games where the shots aren't going in. Do we think that's going to happen? SGA is on a Michael Jordan pace this year. He's scoring a point a minute. He's not playing fourth quarters.
Yeah.
That's how ridiculous this run is. And they're they're 10 deep. These games are not even close. I think they won every quarter by 10-plus points last night.
Yeah, 16 in a row, 24-1. Second most games missed to injury. The point differential is now 18 a game after the blowout last night. We're up to 18 a game.
I have I'll give you the unbelievable numbers here in a minute.
Right. So, so pretty much they have that up now. Will they lose this year with next loss and all the candidates? Because I was looking at around MLK Day for their next loss. But there's a couple things I can't get away from. What you're going to run down with the point differential, and they have the record last year, which was 13 points per game. The clutch net rating of 41.4 with an offensive rating of 136.7, and the defensive rating, which was 104 points per 100 possessions, and then the number 2 team, which was 110 and change. The gap between 1 and 2 is the gap between 2 and 20 in the 20s.
Right.
What they've done.
So this is an incredible tweet from Sean Grandy, who calls games for the Boston Celtics. The best scoring differential in the history of the NBA is last year's Oklahoma City team. It was plus 12.87. They were ahead of the 72 Lakers, the 71 Bucks, the Michael Jordan Bulls of 1996, and the 2017 Golden State Warriors by at least, they were ahead of Golden State by more than a point. So the gap between this year's Oklahoma City team at 17.5 with the point differential and last year's team, again, the best differential in history, is bigger than the gap between last year's record-holding team and the next 34 teams behind them. In other words, as Grandy added, the most dominant 34 NBA teams ever. That's how big the gap is now between this team and everybody else. So here's the crazy thing about it. They scored 138 points last night. They won by 50.
Right.
3 players went over their player prop. That was it.
Isn't that something?
And 9 guys were listed. Right. 10 guys were listed.
Yeah. So so 25 plus longest winning streak plus 370. That means they won't lose till next year, which I like when I made the case yesterday. And if I'm reading this right, next loss at the Cavs January 19th or later, 14-1. I think that's good too.
Our buddy Will Hill has 23-1 and 74 plus wins. 23-1. That's now plus 235.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
This is think about the loss. The loss was on a back-to-back. They led by 20, and they had guys out.
That's right.
And they lost by a basket.
Yep.
They're up 22 in that game.
I actually think this is worth a bet to set the all-time winning streak of 30. They got to get to 34 games.
Yep.
It's 12-1 right now at FanDuel. I think that's still worth a bet.
It's 14 at DK.
No, they have that up too?
That's
okay, 14. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Now, they have the Spurs a bunch of times coming up. And in theory, including the semifinals out here in Las Vegas, including Wemby, if you think he's going to come back, they also get him 2 days before Christmas and then right away again on Christmas Day.
Yep. Good job. See, they're listening. They know. They know what people want. That's a great job by FanDuel and DraftKings to offer all this stuff.
Well, you got to offer the interest because if they're just going to beat everybody by 100 points, I mean, it's tough to, get involved with other teams. Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian on the program coming up next. The playoffs are here. He's going to answer the age-old question about the fantasy playoffs coming up next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Got a good thing coming, just wait and see. It's a good.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
It is a very important time of year in fantasy football, obviously, because the playoffs start tonight. And to talk about it now is Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian on the Progressive Guest Line with his weekly spot here on Follow the Money. Charch, good afternoon. Good to talk to you as always. So this is the question that I think you need to answer every single year, and that is, do you go with the guys who helped you make the playoffs, or do you have to play matchups and play it by ear pretty much on a week-to-week basis still?
Yeah, you'd be shocked, Mitch, at how many people get to the playoffs and feel like that's some kind of validation for their roster. And now you can just coast on the guys that got you here, which is so dumb. And also the playoffs are when a lot of people sort of tighten up and become very risk averse. And also dumb. Don't do it. These are the opposite of the traits that get you to the playoffs. The people that get to the playoffs are the ones who are following the news, that are following trends, that are making changes, that are making trades. You can't trade now in most leagues, and you shouldn't now. But these are the people, the churners, the people that are following the day-to-day machinations and the drama of the NFL are the ones who get to the playoffs. Don't change now. I mean, you still have to be looking at all the matchups, all the new news. I mean, here's one example. DeAndre Swift, really good running back this year, but he splits Chicago's backfield, faces the Browns run defense, one of the best in the league this week. Maybe he's not the right guy. Even though he got you here, he might not be the best or the second best or the third best running back on your team right now. These are the kinds of decisions you always have to keep making, always keep working, trying to find new angles. If you can pick up players, there might be players you can pick up off the waiver wire that are in a better spot to help you than the flex guy you've got slotted in right now. So stay alert, keep following the news, don't coast, stay active.
Let me throw another guy at you, and I brought him up with our previous conversations here on VSiN, and that is my first round pick, I think 4th overall. He did not help me get here, but it's Justin Jefferson. And I'm asking you because, and I have benched him in previous weeks, but now you want to talk about a dilemma. Good. My God, he's getting the Cowboys defense. And do I dare bench him this week?
It's such a great question and we did talk about benching him the last couple of weeks. The last 2 games combined, Justin Jefferson has 15 yards. That's it. And here's the Vikings last week. They scored 31 points. They shut out the Commanders. J.J. McCarthy looks legitimately good. And Justin Jefferson had 2 catches for 11 yards. In Jefferson's prior 2 years, all of 2023 and 2024, he only had 2 games with 2 receptions. Now he's got in consecutive games. But the reversal is coming against Dallas. He's averaging 8 targets per J.J. McCarthy game. Now, they're not 8 good targets, but it's 8 targets per game. Dallas ranks dead last in yards allowed to opposing wide receivers, touchdowns allowed to opposing wide receivers, fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers. In virtually every game, Dallas is allowing multiple wide receivers to have good fantasy games, including last week when 3 different Lions had solid fantasy games. If 2 or 3 Vikings receivers are going to have a good fantasy game, JJ's got to be one of them. I have seen massive disparities in his prop line, all the way down from the mid 50s to the mid 60s on his prop line. You could probably get in on Justin Jefferson at one of the lowest prop numbers we've ever seen. And this has a massive upside. Where I really like Jefferson is if you're an underdog, he's got the Dallas defense gives him massive upside here. Also remember the Vikings organizationally really need to get him going. Mm-hmm. You can't roll into next offseason with Justin Jefferson as an unhappy player. So I think the ball's coming his way. It's a great matchup.
Okay, what do I do the rest of the season if I have Colts players? And what do you think of this Rivers farce?
Oh, man. I think it's going to be Riley Leonard this week, in part because it's the Seattle defense. And the Seattle defense is so good. It'd be such a hard landing spot for Phillip Rivers to come in after he's been out for 4 years and 48 weeks. This is a brutal spot to drop into. Only on the team since Monday. I don't know that this team's going to put Phillip Rivers in harm's way against Seattle. Riley Leonard's been on the team the whole year. I mean, he's been running the number 2 team this whole year, I think. And he was non-awful last year. I'm not saying he's good, but by backup quarterback standards, it's not like he was Max Brosmer, who, by the way, just 2 weeks ago got destroyed by Seattle. This could happen again here.
True.
For Rivers, I just feel like this would be a really tough time. Guys, I'm not starting this week, especially, and probably going forward. Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. The problem you've got is Jonathan Taylor's powered you to the fantasy playoffs, and Seattle's going to play to stop him. They'll do whatever it takes to stop Jonathan Taylor and take their chances on either Riley Leonard or Phillip Rivers, 5 years away from the game, beating them. And I'm nervous about Taylor here too. He's my running back 12, his lowest ranking the whole year. This is a really tough spot for a lot of Colts.
Very good. It was also horrible Monday night for Hurts. Do I bench Hurts? Has he been that bad? I can't play him?
Negative points last week in many scoring systems with the 5 turnovers. Negative points. And first guy in the history of fantasy football to score -4 points on a single play. Because you usually go -2 points for every turnover, and then he had the double turnover. We've never seen a -4 point single play in the history of fantasy football. So many things not working right for the Eagles right now. Your offensive line struggling. Lane Johnson injured, and he's the guy who makes the whole line work. Landon Dickerson's in and out of the game constantly. He's constantly getting hurt. The tush push, his effectiveness is down. And then there's Hurts. The bad reads, throwing at covered players, missing open players, staring down his first read, sailing balls. Where did you guys stand on A.J. Brown's business decision on that pass over the middle on Monday night? Was A.J. Brown in the right not to fully extend and bring that ball in, or do you think it was? Do you think it was on Hurts? Do you think it's on A.J. Brown?
Hurts. Brown had a terrible game. You can't. He had the over the middle. He had the one interception, and then he alligator armed the bomb down the sideline.
Yeah, he had that possible touchdown, right? So he's going in with the possible touchdown. He gets the ball in both hands. Now the defender, and I forget the name of the defender, locked up one of those hands, and after the ball got into his hands, he pushed that arm away. But I'd still like to think that A.J. Brown could have outmuscled that. It's, things are not going well for Philadelphia, but the Raiders are on the schedule. The catch here is, I think people assume the Raiders are just terrible at everything, but they're not half bad against the pass. Last 6 games, passers only averaging 201 passing yards, 1.3 passing touchdowns. That's not fantasy playoff level production. Obviously, Hurts gives you the advantage of 1 or 2 possible rushing scores in any game, so he gives you some upside. But if things don't come together and this offense continues to look uneven, he's got a lot more downside than we've ever seen from Jalen Hurts in the past. He's my quarterback 10. You might have a better option where Hurts and the Eagles are going to be great. Next week, Washington.
Yep.
That's just survive. If you've got Eagles, just survive this week, get to next week, and let's start everybody against Washington. That'll be your get-right game.
All right, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian, our guest, he's on the Progressive Guest Line. So you think that if you're like if you are an underdog this week and you need to pull off an upset, there are maybe a couple of flyers out there who are going to be available, specifically the Baltimore Ravens tight ends against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've talked about we've hit on this path. It's the Cincinnati defense against tight ends several times. So I'll keep this short because this has been something that we have cashed tickets on several times over the course of the year. Bengals are on a historic run to be the worst tight end defense in the history of the NFL. They are on pace to give up 23 tight end touchdowns. They've already given up 1,300 receiving yards to the tight end position. And just to give you a sense of how bad 1,300 tight end yards is, because I know normal people don't know this right now. We're 13 games in, so they're giving up 100 yards per game to opposing tight ends. Better defenses, like the Eagles, they've given up 400 yards to the tight end position. And so you want to check on the availability of Mark Andrews. He's available in just under 20% of leagues, but even Isaiah Likely is absolutely in play as a possible pickup and play here. Last week, Buffalo against Cincinnati, tight ends. Dawson Knox, 93 yards. Dalton Kincaid, touchdown, 41 yards. Third string tight end. Jackson Hawes scored a touchdown. That's what the Bengals are giving up to opposing tight ends. Everybody gets paid. Isaiah Likely put up 95 yards 2 weeks ago against this tight end. Bengals defense. Isaiah Likely, very interesting here, and he's available in 92% of leagues.
Yeah, just be prepared to be in a great spot and maybe even win your league this week or win your matchup with Isaiah Likely having a potential huge game, and then something crazy happens at or near the goal line. I mean, it's documented now. Going back to last year's lid lifter against KC, the toes on the line. Thanksgiving night.
Yeah, goes on line.
He fumbles at the goal line. What happened? Are you kidding me with this guy?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's
that's
totally frustrating,
fair.
right?
Yeah, very frustrating. Charlie Kohler. I don't know what his anytime touchdown.
There we go.
I like it.
Charlie Kohler's probably sitting at like plus 800, and that's an intriguing anytime touchdown opportunity.
That's a good one.
Right about I'll grab that during the break.
All right, Paul's going to dig that up.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to continue here with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian up next. He has a bunch of players to look at for tonight's matchup. And how about this? He's been great with the anytime touchdowns. He has a 6-1 shot that he's going to make the case for next on VSiN.
VSiN's player prop projection tool is now available for the NBA. Get projections for points, assists, rebounds, and more powered by Opta AI. On VSiN.com/NBA props, we line up our projections against the latest DraftKings odds so you can quickly spot mismatches and find value before the market adjusts. The NBA player prop projections tool is available exclusively to VSiN Pro subscribers. Check it out now at VSiN.com/NBA props and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
Check out Stormy and JVT on Money Moves, only on VSiN.
And maybe that's why they wouldn't, because they're the Giants and they don't do things that make sense.
Out of all these divisions, this is the one that I am the most curious about because I do think there are positive signs for the Bears.
They'll take you on a fun, fast-paced journey, weaving in everything you need to know to make an educated bet, while also not shying away from the excitement of a same-game parlay sweat. Money Moves, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue here with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian as he is on the Progressive guest line. All right, Buccaneers got to have a game tonight against Atlanta. And let's just say it has not been going well for this team, the offense, the quarterback. But they are getting people back, one of which would be Mike Evans, Charch. And what do you expect from him tonight? His prop tonight at DK is 38.5 receiving yards.
When was the last time Mike Evans had a prop of 38.5 yards? I don't know, his rookie year, if ever. That's an insanely low number. The Bucs don't have the luxury of slowly working back Mike Evans. Here we are mid-December. The Bucs are one game over 500, zero chance to make a wild card spot. They have to win the division, and this offense needs a jolt desperately, as you just mentioned. So does Baker Mayfield. They haven't looked right since Evans went down. 7 weeks since Evans went down, they've topped 23 points just one time, and Baker Mayfield, 0 or 1 touchdown in the 7 games without Evans. 6 of 7 games, 0 or 1 touchdown without Mike Evans. They have to reintegrate him in a meaningful way back into this offense to get it operating the way they want it to. I think he does have an impact here. I decided I wasn't going to recommend a bet here because I don't know for sure enough about his injury status, and I don't like to use injured guys in our setting here. But from a fantasy standpoint, I'll say this. He's my wide receiver 25. That means mostly I think you start Mike Evans, and there are some positives against a really middling Atlanta secondary.
You recommended Charlie Cole our last segment, anytime 12-1, by the way, at DraftKings. So I was watching the game a couple weeks ago, and they mentioned this. Cousins and Sills have a good rapport because they were working out on the side field as backups, right? So since Penix got hurt and Cousins came in, touchdown against New Orleans, touchdown against the Jets.
Yep.
He shut him out last week, though. How about Sills, 6-1 anytime touchdown? State your case.
Well, we should start with this. We're talking about Atlanta wide receiver David Sills. For any normal person who has no idea who he is, and if you don't know his background, committed to USC as a quarterback at 13 years old. He was the youngest football recruit in the history of college football. Never ended up playing for USC. He turned heads at West Virginia as a wide receiver eventually. He won all Big 12 honors as a receiver. And then he's been a journeyman in the NFL for 7 years. Now he is the starter in running all of Drake London's routes. He has led the Falcons receiver room in snaps since Drake London's injury 3 weeks ago. Now, Sills, he's a slow white guy. They throw to him near the line of scrimmage, which is why we're going to use Sills for receptions and not yards. We only need to go over 2.5 receptions. I also like his anytime touchdown at plus 600. He doesn't catch downfield. Falcons giving up a ton of wide receiver touchdowns. 12 wide receiver scores just since week 8. Multiple wide receiver touchdowns in 6 different games this year. Sills on the field a ton. They're going to have to throw at least some, and only has to go over 2.5 receptions. I like him. I like him for this specific little niche, anytime touchdown and over 2.5 receptions.
Over catches, by the way, plus money.
Plus money. Cousins also loves Kyle Pitts.
He does like Kyle Pitts. I don't like his line, and I decided I wasn't going to actually bet this because his line's sitting around 60 yards, but he's averaging in the Cousins starts. He's averaging 8 targets, 6 catches, 64 yards. And, when these teams met in the season opener, Pitts put up 7 catches, 59 yards. This is right where that line is. The problem I have with putting any actual cash on Kyle Pitts is you don't know if this is going to be one of those games where Kyle Pitts is like, oh, here comes the ball. Nah, I'm not going to bother extending. I'm not going to, Kyle Pitts just checks out too much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I'm not putting cash on Kyle Pitts. I'm tempted to take the over here because he seems to have a good rapport, and they're down so many receiving options. I don't know. I can't put actual money on.
Well, the guy to attack then, right, has to be Bijan Robinson in the air, not rushing, but in the air.
Yes, the air. Love him. Over 36.5 receiving yards. When I did the analysis before I looked up the line, I had him pegged in the high 40s here. Running backs who can catch generally almost always hammer the Bucs through the air. Running backs with just 3 or more receptions in a game are averaging 47 yards. That's 10 more than we need for Bijan's number of 36.5 yards. Bijan averaging 4.5 receptions per game, by the way. And elite running backs almost always crush this line. Great pass catching running backs. Christian McCaffrey, 57 yards. James Cook, 66 yards. These are receiving yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 82 receiving yards. And a really direct comparison to Bijan Robinson is Bijan Robinson. In the earlier meeting this year, he had 6 catches for 100 yards against Tampa. So this is a really nice spot for Bijan Robinson to go over the 36.5 receiving yards.
Okay. As I mentioned at the top here of this segment, has it been pretty for Baker Mayfield? He has not eclipsed 200 yards in, I think it's at least 4 consecutive games. Yeah, hasn't even reached 200 measly passing yards in 4 straight games. But now it's come down big time as a result of that. And you want to buy low now on him?
Yeah, I'm going to buy the dip on Mayfield, take the over here. So I got a lot of overs so far, which always worries me. The return of Mike Evans is a significant part. Mayfield's really good. When Evans was on the field in those first 6 games, he was averaging 256 yards per game. That's 43 more than I need on this now suppressed line of his of 213.5 passing yards. And without Evans, by the way, 90 fewer yards without Mike Evans. That's a massive differential. So hopefully we get back most of those 90 yards with Mike Evans. In the 6 games with Evans, Mayfield went over this line 5 times. Now, his one miss where he went under was against the Falcons in the opener, but nevertheless, he threw 3 touchdowns that game. I thought he played well in that game. Against Atlanta, over the past 6 weeks, the only quarterback who hasn't topped 213.5 passing yards is Tyrod Taylor, and he does not count. The Jets passing game does not count. So we're going to say over the past 6 weeks, 100% success rate, Drake May, Daniel Jones, Bryce Young, Tyler Shuck, and Sam Darnold all top this line by at least 30 yards. The average game over the past 6 weeks, not counting Tyrod Taylor, 291 yards. That is 78 yards over tonight's line for Baker Mayfield. I think he gets it back on track here over 213.5 yards.
All right, my friend. So he didn't, there wasn't any design runs in the Monday night loss, although he did take off for 12 yards and then got body blow and knocked out of bounds after the game. He says, I'm aggressive. I'm not going to change how I play. You still want Dart rushing yards under?
We're going to take the Jackson Dart under. So there's a very real chance that interim head coach Mike Kafka has a mandate not to run Jackson Dart. You know, organizationally, the Giants need to protect their passer of the future. In a lost season, they don't want a lame duck coach ruining Jackson Dart potentially for 2026. They want that kid to get passes under center. Last week, with a really significant change, this is the game before last week. They had a bye last week. So last time we saw Jackson Dart, week 13, 0 design runs. He had been averaging over 4 design runs per game. And then he had the concussion. And then he came back before last week's bye to a 0 design run game plan. And you alluded to this. When he took off scrambling, he got blown up by New England's Christian Ellis. And it made all kinds of news. And we're talking about him getting destroyed that way. And he says, yeah, that's just how I play football. Yeah, it is. But your coaching staff's going to ask you not to do that. They don't want to put Dart in that position. They play Washington. Now, Washington is a feel-good offense for a lot of things, and there aren't a lot of unders that you're going to want to take against Washington. But under Jackson Dart's 29.5 rushing yards makes a ton of sense. Washington has seen the 6th fewest quarterback rushes for the 9th fewest quarterback rushing yards. Of the 13 quarterbacks the Commanders have faced, only 3 of them have rushed for more than the 29.5 rushing yards. And one of the 3 was Patrick Mahomes, only topped it by half a yard. So, in a way, 2 of the 13. So, yeah, that Jackson Dart under the 29.5 rushing yards.
All right, very good. By the way, we could expand on this maybe next week or some other time, but I'm in 2 different playoff scenarios right now. 2 completely different styles how you play fantasy football. Both of them, though, once you make the playoffs, it's a scoring aggregate. Highest scoring team over the next 3 weeks wins the league. It's not head-to-head. Yeah. Right. What are your thoughts on that?
If you want to make sure you give your fantasy football championship trophy to the best possible team, aggregate the points to the playoffs and don't do any head-to-head. You take a lot of the drama out because now you don't have bad beats. You don't have, an upset in 1 week. You will take some of the drama out. But if you just want to make sure the best team gets crowned, that's how you do it. Personally, I like the drama. I like upset wins. I like watching fluky stuff happen. But if you want to play what is effectively at that point best of 3, you could do it that way by aggregating.
Yeah, I used to like head-to-head. Then I was 14-0 one year in the championship game.
Oh boy!
And I lost on the Monday night game because Philip Lindsay fumbled, and I was not the champion, and I was 14-1. So that was not a fun result for me whatsoever. Charge, you're the best.
That's tough.
Yeah. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Okay.
Thanks, friends. Talk to you next week.
There
Bye-bye.
you go. Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian with us on the Progressive Guest Line. NBA Cup numbers, tonight's card, the NHL. I'll give you a couple of players to look at with their 3-point